Okay, so I'm gonna start making the chocolate score cake from scratch. So the first thing I need is a cup and 3/4 of flour. And to this I'm going to add a 3/4 cup of dark unsweetened cocoa. This cannot be substituted for anything else, it has to be this. And then I'm gonna add in 2 cups of light brown sugar. And then according to my recipe, I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a teaspoon of baking soda. And some salt. Alright, salt's there. Okay, so we're gonna mix this up so it's kind of like so it's fairly solid throughout. Now the brown sugar has a lot of chunks in it, so we're just gonna mush those up as we go. Okay, so it's all nicely blended together now. All very fluffy and stuff. So, and now I'm supposed to make a hole. So, let's level this out a little bit. And I'm supposed to dig to the sides. This isn't working. Just push it all so I have a whole thing there. Okay, I think that's a hole. So, it's a hole in the middle right there. And now I am adding 2 eggs at room temperature. So these have been sitting out for quite a while now. Well, not quite a while, about half an hour or so. So they're quite room temperatured. So I'm gonna crack them into here, just to make sure that I don't get any shells or anything in them. So I need 2 of them. So 1 and 2, and those look good. So I'm gonna pour those right into the middle. Perfect. And then we're gonna add a cup of buttermilk. So 1 cup of buttermilk. Alright, there we go. And we're gonna whisk that up really good. So we're just gonna keep going until it gets to like this creamy texture that we're just about at. Okay, so we've kind of got it looking thicker, so I'm gonna add a cup of strong black coffee, which is supposed to bring out the flavor of the chocolate. And I'm also going to add 1 cup of vegetable oil. And we're going to mix this up and see how it works. Alright, so it's becoming more cakey looking. I'm just going to scrape the edges really quickly with the spatula. Alright, so that looks way more like cake batter than the fudgy stuff that I had beforehand. You see how it's kind of dripping off of this really nicely. So we're going to take this and we're going to pour it into a pan. Okay, so I have poured this into a lightly greased and buttered 9.5 by 13 pan, and it's nice and leveled out. And now we're going to take this and put that into the oven that's already preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so I finished the angel food cake cooling for the first batch. It is okay. It kind of fell, and I'm not really sure why, and it's a little sticky. I'm hoping it's cooked. I'm going to grab a knife and actually cut into it. It's a little flaky. I don't really know how this is supposed to turn out. It's soft on the inside, so I'm thinking it's done. I'm gonna let my brother taste test it when it gets back, so I'll let you know then. Till then, I'm just waiting for the cake to cook. Another 5 minutes for the chocolate cake, and I'm about to start the batter for the strawberry shortcake. Okay, so while I'm waiting for the cake to finish in the next couple minutes, I'm gonna make the sauce part for the score cake. So I have sweetened condensed milk in here, 1 container, and I'm gonna add in the caramel sauce. And from what I understand, I just add it all in. Alright, now we're just gonna stir that up. Alright, so it kind of looks like a toffee color. I guess it's supposed to look like score. Sure. Alright, so we're going to put this to the side. And right away we're going to pull out the cake and we're going to let it cool down for a couple minutes. And then we're going to pour this on top. Okay, so I just pulled the chocolate cake out of the oven. I'm going to let it cool down a little bit. While I'm waiting for that to happen, I'm going to start with my strawberry shortcake. So this is 2 1/4 cups of flour. And then we're going to add in 4 teaspoons of baking powder. I'm going to use a knife to level, we need a fork to level this off. So that's 2. And that's 4. Perfect. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. One. 2. And then we're going to add some salt. Alright, and then we're going to mix this up until it is well combined with the spoon. Alright, so there we go. Now we're going to add in a 1/3 cup of shortening, and we're just going to blend it in with some knives. So, this is a 1/3 cup of shortening. Alright, so I'm just going to blend this in with kind of like chopping it up with 2 knives until it's kind of all crumbly from what I understand. Alright, the shortening's all done, so I'm going to poke some holes into the chocolate cake with a wooden spoon, and they didn't really say how much, so I'm going to poke a lot because I like the caramel sauce. Alright, so we got some holes going. So I'm supposed to pour the sauce literally just right on it. Now the cake is supposed to kind of soak this up, and there's supposed to be a slight glaze left on top. Seems like a lot. I feel like I put too much in here, but I followed the recipe. We're gonna leave it like this and see what happens to it in a little bit. We're gonna move it out of my way. Flaky, kind of, I guess is the way to describe it. So I just went through and kind of mushed up all the little pieces of shortening throughout the cake, or throughout the floury mixture thing. And now I'm going to take this, make a hole in the middle. So, hole in the middle just like I did with the last cake. And then we're going to add in an egg. So this egg is room temperature, and we're going to take it and put it into one container. So we're going to mix this up with a fork really, really good. Alright, so now I'm supposed to add this well mixed egg to the middle of my pan. So we're going to pour this in. Right into the middle, and then we're going to add 2/3 a cup of milk. Alright, 2/3 a cup of milk, and we're going to mix this in. Now, if you remember last week, I made these shortbread cookies. So I think this is supposed to kind of look like a similar batter, from what I understand. And it's kind of starting to look like that. So I'm just going to keep mixing it. Alright, so we've kind of got like a solid mass here that has very similar texture to these shortbread cookies. So we're going to add this to a pan, circular pan, lightly greased in flour. It's going to push this in so it has like a nice layer on it. Alright, so this is pretty much as far as I'm going to get it. So I'm going to toss this into the oven. I'm going to let it cook for about 15 to 20 minutes until nicely golden brown. And then I'm going to allow it to cool. And we're going to go from there. Alright, well I have this baking. I'm going to finish up my strawberry puree for it. So we're going to do that. Alright, so we're going to continue on with the strawberry sauce puree thing. I'm going to take some of these strawberries that have been soaking in sugar, and we're going to scoop them into the blender portion thing. Alright, we're going to add a little bit of liquid. And we're going to add some lemon juice. Let's plug this in. taste this to make sure that it's horrible. Oh, it tastes pretty good. I'm gonna add a little bit more strawberries and just do another zap of it. And just a tiny little bit more of the stuff that I had in before. The lemon juice. Zap this a little bit more. Alright, so there we go. We got strawberry puree. It's going to go with the strawberry sauce. Mix that all in. And this is going to be used for both the strawberry shortcake and the angel food cake. The strawberry shortcake is still in the oven. It needs about another 10 to 15 minutes. So we are going to start on the batter for the angel food cake. Okay, so I just pulled the strawberry shortcake, the cake part of it, out of the oven. Now I'm going to sift cake flour. It has to be cake flour 3 times for the angel food cake from scratch. This is just making it super fine. Like super duper duper fine. Okay, this has been sifted 3 times. It took forever. It sucked. I don't like sifting. Alright, so now we are going to put this aside after I worked so hard on it. And we're going to use egg whites. So I already separated the egg whites just because they need to be at room temperature and it's easier to separate than when they're cold. But pretty much all you do is you like crack the egg and then spread out the yolks. So it's just the eggs and then the yolks are over there, and I'm going to cook them for my puppy later. So I'm going to take these to room temperature and I'm going to add a teaspoon and a half of cream tartar and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So I added 1.5 teaspoons of cream of tartar to that, and then I've added some salt. And now to that I'm going to take this and I'm going to mix it with this until it's frothy. Now I don't think this is a big enough bowl, so I'm actually going to transfer it into a bigger bowl just to be on the safe side. Now it's really important that the bowl and the mixer are like super dry, otherwise the egg whites won't get that frothy thing going on that they're supposed to do. So I've got it like as dry as I can get it. The whisk things are ready to go. So we're gonna plug these in. We're gonna pour this into the bowl. And we're gonna add the cream of tartar and the salt. And we're gonna mix it. Mix until frothy, so I don't really know what frothy is because that's a really bad description of anything. But I kind of got it till it looks like the stuff you kind of get on the top of coffee. It's kind of what I was going for, I think. That's kind of what it looks like. Now I'm supposed to add a cup and a half of sugar. I'm supposed to add this with a spoonful at a time. So I'm going to measure out a cup and a half of sugar. Alright, so that's a cup and a half. So I'm just going to slowly add this in, a spoonful-ish at a time, until it's all gone, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so it's kind of becoming a little bit thicker. I'm going to add in half a teaspoon of vanilla and half a teaspoon of almond extract. Alright, so I'm going to add in half a teaspoon of vanilla. Alright. And I'm going to add in a half a teaspoon of almond extract. Alright, now I'm going to beat on a higher speed until it's peaky. I feel like it needs to get more than this. Like peaks aren't actually forming, but I don't know what that means to have peaks forming. Well, it says stiff. It doesn't say peak. It says stiff, but that's not really stiff. I'm gonna keep going for like another couple minutes. That's kind of stiff. I think that's stiff enough. So now I'm going to add in by hand the flour. Alright, so we're going to add in the flour, about a third of it at a time. Alright, so we're going to add in a handful of this. Just going to do it by hand, so fold this in nicely. I'm going to keep folding it really awesomely. This bowl wasn't quite big enough for this, which is making me concerned that my pan also not going to be quite big enough.
So they don't have to catch the lights? No, we find this is a good way to build that confidence.
Alright, we're going to add in a little bit more. Really, this bowl is like as full as I can get it right now. Oh, that was a little bit more than I wanted to. Oops, oh well. I'm all mixing good anyway, hopefully. Okay, so I got like these random pockets of flour that I'm not really sure where they came from. I'm trying to like pop them, but I have no room to stir. So this is a lot of really, really fun, not so much. Yeah, not really sure what I'm doing here. So we're just gonna kind of keep poking holes so it all goes away. Trying not to spill it outside the things. It smells like the other batter, which I take as a good sign, but I don't think it's gonna cook very well. The other one didn't cook very well either. Angel food cake is not my thing. I don't like making it, I just like eating it. Alright, we're going to add in the rest of it, which is just a little bit because I over added the second time around. I'm going to continue folding it in so it doesn't cause too many air bubbles. I think is why we fold and not anything else. Alright, so I'm going to add this to the pan like I did the last time. I think it's going to be too much. I think this is kind of like a scrap batch. We'll see how it turns out. I like to be proved wrong when it comes to my baking abilities, but I really don't think this is going to work out. So we're just going to add in, we're going to add in some of it and then spread it around and see how we're doing. Remember, we don't grease the pan. That's really important to remember. There's no grease in this. It's doing okay. Alright, we're going to add in the last of it.
Sorry about all that. I guess they thought you'd like it.
Why do I feel so weird here?
No, hon, they're people.
I think they're just trying to help me. I mean, I grew up knowing nothing living inside that hotel. And you learned about everything growing up in Santa Claus.
Senators,
Dennis grows up away from you, and that won't be so freaky. Like me.
are you nuts? Davis, you're a class. You're so polite, curious about everything.
Alright, so we've kind of just pushed around the edges so that I make sure I got all the air bubbles out. And I've leveled it out as best I can. I'm going to wipe the edges so I don't have it everywhere.
What are you doing?
Okay. We're going to take a butter knife and just push it around like we did last time to make sure we have no air bubbles. Alright, this is going to go into the oven
Don't worry, I made it home.
at 350. Okay, there's like little air bubbles. I don't know if that matters. It's just from whipping it, I think. I don't know. Not very confident about this. I feel like there's a reason they put them in a box cake, because that way you can't mess them up like this. Alright, let's see how this goes. Let's level it out. And put it in the oven at 350 degrees, which is already preheated. Cake 1 is a success. Well, the strawberry shortcake is actually the third cake I did. But it's a success! So now I'm going to finish up the chocolate score cake. And I'm still waiting for the angel food cake to come out of the oven. It looks different than the other one. It's like smoother on top, and I don't know how it's supposed to look. I'm just kind of guessing at this point. I'm hoping it turns out really good, because it hasn't lit on fire yet, and it hasn't sunk, so we're doing an improvement. And this is the completed score cake. I hope it tastes good. I had to use Cool Whip instead because my mom is selling this one at her business, and it's easier to take in and out of the cooler a bunch of times when she's cutting it. I'm hoping it turns out as good and it doesn't taste too phony. My cake looks okay. So this is what it looks like coming out of the oven. It didn't fall this time, and it's nice and brown, not burnt. So we're going to let it cool down the rest of the way, and then we're going to cut it out, and then my family's going to eat it.